Sounds very stylish.
What is my problem?
What do you think?
Beat sitting home watching television?
Hello and welcome everyone. Thank you for joining me on this wonderful Tuesday, I guess. Yeah, we're going to talk about the Fallout show. Is it a death or is it the bomb? So we'll find out. I know there's been a little bit of controversy, people talking about wokeness and all that. That always seems to be the talk these days about modern TV and movies. But without further ado, let me get something here and we will bring in our two special guests. Let me see what would be worthy of our guest. Let us go with let's do this.
Get that fucking soap, you clean up this mess, and get your ass out that door looking for a job, you retard.
Just random.
Give us Rip Torn.
Yeah, I love Rip Torn. Freddy Got Fingered is one of my guilty pleasure movies.
I've never seen it.
He was the dad. I forgot about that.
Yeah, it's mental illness in movie form. It starts crazy and the bar just goes lower and lower. It's a descent into madness, but I love it. If you watch it on
Mint's everyday life.
That's right. All the pranks and everything with Riley. That's gotta really be interesting from day to day.
Oh yeah.
But thank you so much.
Sorry, I was gonna say I've never seen Freddy Got Fingered before.
I would be interested to hear your review on it. You would probably just think, seriously, what the hell did I just watch? But yeah, I'd love to hear your take on it. Do the sausage, Daddy? Would you like some sausages?
I think Mint's review would be like, oh.
Same. Boring. That's just another Wednesday for me.
Been there.
Exactly.
Oh my Lord. Well, let's take a look at some of the people who showed up early. We have, it looks like Enrique Cabrera was number one, and he says, JayBama, you better not fuck this up and make us look bad. Jay, I don't know. Do you ever make anyone look bad? I didn't think that.
Mostly myself. And my wife, she shares my shame. So
no, it has to carry the JayBama burden shame. Yep. We have Grey Wolf. Hey, a chat. Well, hey there, Grey Wolf. Let's see. My good friend James from Broken Compass Entertainment. I'm going to have you guys on again soon. You got a number of books coming up. Let's see who else is here. We have Bamba Zonk. Hey, everyone. Well, hello, right back to you. And let's see. Oh, Joe Frago. Thank you for joining. Great to see you. And let's see. Is that you, Mint, or is that Riley commenting?
That's
there?
Young Clippa.
Yeah.
That's Young Clippa. Yeah.
Well, let's see. I don't have any shoulder hair going on, so I should be safe. Are you safe, Jay?
I got blonde shoulder hair, so it kind of.
Okay, you got them bleached.
You can't see it. Doesn't count.
So we're all good. We're all good. So what's new with you guys? Anything exciting?
Just movie reviews. I'm trying to get to the. I'm trying to get to October 17th so I can switch to weekly reviews so I can focus on working on a comic book. So,
oh, wow.
Yeah.
Nice. I look forward to hearing the details about that. Yeah, I know you were trying to do the daily reviews. I don't know where you got the energy for that. Oh my God.
Youth.
It's wasted on the young. I wish I had that. Oh, hey, Pastor Flash. Great to see you. Woodenshot is actually, I think that's a very great conspiracy theory right there. What were you going to say, Jay?
I was going to say, Mint, you got to get Matt Barr to do a cover.
Oh, Jesus. I saw, I was not on Twitter earlier today, and then I get on a couple hours ago, and I'm like, oh, well, this is interesting. We got a little spice going on, so hopefully more people will show up.
Abra, stay away. Stay very away.
It's a hot, spicy meatball.
Do you know how many daily movie reviews I've done in a row?
What day of the year are we on right now? Is that
The
how many?
7th. I've done 614 daily movie reviews in a row.
Wow.
I don't even know how you do that. That is unbelievable.
I have editors.
You have people. Your people have people.
Yeah.
I need people.
She
Yeah.
whips Riley. Riley's at the computer editing. She's behind him, just like
Yeah.
And
More content.
Young Clip is responsible for keeping me on schedule with this and also making the schedule too. So there's that. He's a big help. I'm trying to end the daily streak on a good number 777. So it would be good luck, you know. So I'm
I
only
like
at
that.
614 now.
Wait, on that day, your movie review should be Casino.
Ooh.
On that day, it should be Casino on the 17th of October.
The 777.
Or what
Ooh,
about
that's a
lucky
good
number
idea.
7?
Wait, that'll be your 777th review, correct? Or did I misread? Did I not listen to that?
Yeah, 7.
Or you could do like Vegas Vacation. Just go like complete trash.
Oh God. Or Freddie got fingered.
You guys should totally be on Min Salad Saw. I just do reviews with you guys. When I do weekly, the goal is to have it just be with like guests. Like with each week, it would be like with a guest.
That's
the
cool.
idea. Yeah.
It's always nice to kind of get, different people's perspectives and opinions. And before we get into the opinion of Fallout, I just wanted to say your vault suit. I love all the costumes that you do. Like, do you sew them up yourself? Do you have a cosplay site you get them from, or?
Spirit Halloween for pretty much almost all of them, and then I made the Yaira cosplay that I made. I made that Yaira cosplay by like getting stuff off of Amazon, and then I think my Supergirl cosplay is from like Easy Cosplay, I think, and like a couple other ones, but they're mostly from Spirit Halloween.
Nice. Yeah, we only get them. I think we only get them in September, October, and then because they just pop into like some old abandoned store, and they're like, "We're here."
Yeah, just raid the Spirit Halloween every season, pretty much.
Well, that's smart, and it's Young Clip is saying that's my vault suit.
It is. It's way too big for me. This is his vault suit, but it's it is his vault suit. I didn't get a vault suit at Spirit Halloween. They didn't have one in my size.
I was trying to figure out something to cosplay as, and I don't know. I can't think of anything that I really love so much that I would cosplay, except maybe, but I would have to have like the perfect diet for several months to be able to wear this. But I wanted to be the pink Power Ranger, because you could have the helmet. And so nobody would really know who you are. But yeah, that thing hugs your body a little too snugly. So I'm like, no, unless I'm doing, 5,000 ab crunches a week or something. There's no way I'm getting my butt into the pink Power Ranger costume.
Hit me up. We'll get you there.
I need a training regimen. You're going to call me up at like 5 a.m. It's morphin time.
That's yeah.
I'm just curious though, before we get into the review.
Yeah.
How early do you wake up to work out, JayBama?
I get up every day about 7, and then I make my food, and I'm in the gym about 9 o'clock every morning, and I'm there for about an hour and a half. Well, depending, like if it's a leg workout or it to be honest with you, it depends how many old people are there, and how many
geezers hogging the machines.
Yes, God bless them. They're good people. But how many like people who don't who work nights and stuff, I'd much rather go about 1 o'clock because there's hardly anybody in there except for like meatheads. So
yeah, that makes sense.
I would like to go at 5 a.m, but my wife, she doesn't want to go that early. So
dang, I was never really a morning person. When I used to work as a contractor for the government and I had to get up at like 4:30, I was like, Lord Jesus, I hate my life. I can't do this. And by the time I was starting to wake up, it was about time to go home. But yeah, hard stuff getting up that early.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you get your coffee in you and you head to the gym and like if you eat, I think that kind of sabotages you. But
Yeah,
you just
I
get
can
some
see that.
coffee, you go there fasted, and you have a good workout and you feel good afterwards. But you will go to sleep earlier that night, so it's just it's a trade off.
Fighting them Alabama jeans. Uh, all the gravy and the
Oh,
collards.
I don't eat that crap.
No, I don't eat it either, but my genetics, it's probably like entwined in my DNA. You have the double helix and then you have some cornbread
It's bonded to your
it's
DNA.
bonded into my DNA. And I'm like, no, don't you know about my dreams of being a pink Power Ranger? Come on now.
The Crisco is binding the
Oh
fats
yeah,
to
I
your cells.
sweat Crisco. Oh dear Lord. Well, anyway, let's go ahead. Let me go ahead and add this. Share screen. Yes, I understand. And let's see. Going to bring up some of the. There we go. Some of the Fallout stuff on here. We have the cast. I never memorized the cast or whatever, but all right. So, Fallout, we had 8 episodes.
Yeah.
That kind of introduced us first to like the world of Fallout. The first episode was kind of neat. I like how they broke it down and kind of introduced each character. You have Lucy's kind of intro, and then you have the Ghoul's intro. Well, his is the last one, and then you have Maximus. Yeah, his intro. So the first impression, what was your guys' first impression when you watched that very first episode and they're kind of introducing you to everyone? Let's see. Do you want to go first, Jay, or?
Sure. The first episode, I was really blown away with the aesthetics that they were able to take from the game. It actually felt like the opening to the 4th game, when you're in Sanctuary and it's pre-war. And that aesthetic was all there and stuff. And then you meet Cooper, the Ghoul, as we later learn. And you see he's there with his daughter. And then you see the family and stuff. And the kids gather in front of the TV, and you see the Galaxy News Network. And you see them. I think it actually goes to a Grognak, the Barbarian, which is that's like their that's the world's Conan the Barbarian comic.
Yeah, I like that. It kind of had that vibe, and then also, what was it, the Herculean or something? What Herculoids? Like I was kind of getting a little bit of that vibe too from it, like the aesthetic of it. But yeah, I agree. The very same thing too with the aesthetic. It just seemed like they put a lot of thought and care. What did you think, Mint? Do you feel like they kind of captured the feeling of Fallout?
Yeah, I think they did well at that. It was fun. The first episode, it's fun. Noticing the little details like on the TV. Like you got the weatherman is like, what's the point of even doing the weather, man?
Like the world's gonna end. Who cares?
Yeah, and those little like details while like everyone is like having a fun time and it's like something's about to happen, and then like the shot with the nuke in the background, that was like great. That was great framing. And then like introducing to the vaults, and it's like the type of people that the vaults are. It's just like they're quite literally sheltered people. And like they have like their own social system, and they're just like used to the amenities, and it's fun to see then these people are disrupted from like the outside world. And it's like, did they even think that the outside world was even like a possibility before these raiders came in?
They weren't really clued in, I don't think, but I think they had education of what it might be. I think that was one of the part of the classes.
Like they would be all heathens, and they'd have to go out and kind of tame the heathens and everything and bring them civilization. and fire or something, but
But it had that kind of like, proud Americans are going
yeah. We're gonna propagate America.
Like everything
save
was
the
like
world.
the 50s. Everything was like that kind of like 50s mentality of the characters or people's characters or like culture at the time. It's frozen because it's in the year 2077, but we never went beyond that. And so
I like it because they bring in the technology too, right? So you have like the 50s housewife, but then she also has her, like helper robot, almost like Jetsons,
Yeah, it's a Mr. Handy.
Yeah.
It's a Mr. Handy robot.
That was really cool. And I think for, trying to suck you in, as Mint talked about with the mushroom cloud in the background, I thought that was just really good storytelling in the sense of just really making the viewer go, holy crap. It kind of like starts off right off the bat. Yeah, with a bang. Yeah,
like,
exactly.
It's almost like you're playing a video game. you know what I mean? Because like, he gets his daughter on the horse and they take off. And
that was a cool scene too, because it's like you're going to outrun the fallout, the devastation.
I thought they were going to do that. Like, I was like, oh man, I hope that they can like make it to safety.
Yeah, make it to a vault or whatever.
And then like it cuts to like a 200 plus years in the future. It's like, oh, all these people I just got introduced to are likely dead. Yeah, I'm like, dang it. I got to learn who these people are.
I like how it showed a little bit too of how quickly society can break down, because as the townsfolk are kind of rushing to their vaults, and you see the one guy, like the neighbor's like, hey man, like, can I come in with you? And the guy's just like,
he knocks out the black guy.
Yeah, he's like, you ain't coming in here,
buddy. That's the thing, because of course, okay, let's get that. Let's talk about the elephant room. There are some woke aspects in this show, but there are things like that where he completely
you're just like,
the black guy. And like,
well, let's be real. I mean, in the 50s, I don't think the guy would have been at the party anyway. But
well, it's like, that's the thing, is like, because in the games they kind of like the timeline forks off from 1947, because the transistor, which was that was the successor of the vacuum tube, and then after the transistor was the microchip.
Right.
So so what ended up happening is like, that wasn't invented in 1947. So all the technology and all that stuff, like cell phones or satellite dish or like all that stuff, was still on the old. It wasn't operating on the transistor. And then I think about, it could be like 10 years prior to the Great War. That's when the transistor was invented, and I believe right before the Great War is when the microchip was invented. So it progressed, like it went from like 200 years, or like 130 years, and then all of a sudden, boom, transistor, and then all of a sudden, boom, microchip, and that's where we you end up getting the Pip Boy.
The Pip Boy, yeah. Yeah, I love that, because it's, even with all of our technology, they have the Pip Boy, and I love how it's very advanced, but, still very kind of retro looking. I thought that was, again, kind of goes into the aesthetic of that whole Fallout world. So like after the bombs are going off and everything, and then it just, bam, it's like, how many years later? It went from like 2077 to like
about 215, 220-ish.
Yeah. And one thing to note too, I watched this series with my husband. I watched the first episode, and then I was like, well, it's always fun to kind of watch it with somebody. And so I convinced him to rewatch the first episode. And for the first few episodes, he's like, why is that lead actress just such a bad actress? And I'm like, she's not bad, because he didn't get the fact, why is she acting like, all right, okie dokie? And I'm like, that's part of it. You have to think it's like 1950s kind of
They're stuck in
optimistic,
the
like,
innocence.
exactly.
Yeah.
Innocence is definitely the word for it.
Yeah, she's like naive to
Very
There
like
much
you
the
go.
outside world, and like when she goes up to the surfaces and interacting with everybody, it's like clear that she's the outsider. And
Yeah.
also,
Mhm.
I think the people in the vaults have like kind of the more woke mentality kind of thing, and then everybody on the surface is like, fuck that, man. We're in the real world. We're all struggling. Fuck all that woke bullshit. So like
Yeah.
it's even shown in the show that like this the wokeness is produced by like the shelteredness of the vault people.
Mhm.
You saw
know?
that too, huh?
Yeah.
And inside the vault, the government's kind of set up where it's like when you watch it, it's kind of like a village. It's very communist.
It is
Yeah.
very communist, which is funny because they're like, oh, we're going to, propagate American values. And I'm like, what the hell? This is like communist values.
Yeah.
Everyone has
Yes.
their part to play. Everyone must contribute. It was just very funny how they, kind of played on
And
that.
some of the stuff she talked about, like, oh, I'm in the young pipe fitters, like it's a very
Yeah.
union sounding like thing. You know what I mean?
I like, hey, I like how she has to petition to get married too. So it's like she's doing a sales pitch. She's like, yeah, my skills at this are great. I've been a great community member and I feel like I could really contribute. And so I'd like to put my name forth to get married. And then the people on the, that are the head of the I guess like their
The
little
council.
vault.
The
Yeah, the
council,
council, like their little mini vault government. They have to vote on it and everything. And they
do it anonymously right in front of her.
Yeah, exactly. Just like, yay, I'm approved. Another thing that's kind of funny too is you have that hokey, innocent 1950s attitude, but then contrasted with the kind of cavalier attitude on sex and everything, because they need to be ready. The women have to be ready to, give birth and have babies and repopulate the surface and everything. So it's really funny. She, even later on, she just says to Maximus at one point, want to have sex? Because they're just sitting there bored, and like pass the time. Hey, you want to cheat willikers? You want to have sex? But I thought that was kind of funny aspect of it too.
Yeah. Everybody in the vaults just seems so horny. They're just,
Yeah.
yeah.
Can you blame them? They don't have. Oh, and then the whole thing about cousins too. It's like it's okay with your kid to play
You can
around
have
with
fun
cousins.
with your cousins or
Yeah,
cousin
but
fun.
What's your adult? It's like, come on, we gotta branch out to the other vaults. Like,
The
oh
Vault
Lord,
Society's Alabama.
Jeez.
it really is. Ding 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 ding. Yeah, really crazy. So they end up being, and I guess we're going to be giving spoilers here because this is a comment on the show. So anybody,
I'll be right back. Sorry.
Oh, but
No. I'll be right back. I'm serious. Okay. Gotta use the restroom.
Are you serious? Get out of here, Jay. All right. Well, Met and I will carry on in your absence.
Well, okay. Give me a time.
No.
I mean, I can put a paper clip on. I mean, excuse me.
No, good Lord.
I can tie it off with the rope.
No, please.
You know what I
Bad
mean?
visuals.
Yeah.
Bad visuals here.
I'll be right back.
Go TCB. You'll be fine.
All right. It's just us two now.
Yes. Get that dirty boy out of here. So yeah, when the she ends up, in order to make, I guess, good partners so they don't have to suffer from inbreeding and all that kind of weird stuff, they bring in, I guess they're partnered with other vaults and they can kind of swap resources with the other vaults and swap potential mates and everything with the other vaults. And so he brings in her husband to be, and they have this kind of ceremony where they open up the other vault. And it's interesting how they have kind of the keeper of the different vault doors and everything. But they make a big deal. and have her husband come over, and they allow some of the other people from. I'm trying to remember. That one was Vault 32, right?
Yeah, it was Vault 33 and Vault 32 mingling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think that's interesting. I don't know if that would really be enough to keep the gene pool from going a little bit wonky, but
I don't think so. I was just thinking, okay, so you have a person from Vault for 33 and Vault 32, and they have sex and they have a kid, and then that kid grows up. So which vault do they belong to? Do they just split the kid up from their parents or something? Or
I think eventually, yeah, because remember later on how they were trying to say, okay, you guys, we're going to vote now, and people are going to be selected to go to Vault 33, towards the end of the series or the end of the season. And so they must rotate them somehow, but I don't really know how how you keep that genetically viable.
I bet they had like a lot of people in the vaults when the nukes first came down, or if people went to the vaults during the nukes, or like they knew of the nukes and they went down to the vault like while the nukes were happening. Like, I just want to know.
I don't know according to the lore of the game, but I know in the show it looked like people just kind of fled to the vaults once they were aware that
some of
the
them
nukes were going off.
Yeah, it depends on the vault. Some of them were being populated, and some of them were like in the show Vault 4, the one they were doing all this labbers, the DNA radiation stuff.
Yeah,
that was filled beforehand. So I mean, some of them were filled, and some of them were like day of or minute of.
Okay.
So it depends on the story. It's pretty open as far as what exactly happens or when exactly it gets filled up. But
I do like that.
Yeah. It just they leave. Bethesda's the game developer. They left that they left that part open so it could be changed. For with each game and stuff. So.
Opinionated news guy was saying the show is meh to me, but Walter Goggins, I hope I'm saying that right, Goggins or Goggins, was really good as per usual. Ever watched Justified? I have not, but I've heard a lot of good things about Justified. It's one of those on my list to go back and binge at some point. Is that the one with Timothy Olyphant in there too?
I have no idea. I just know he was in it.
Yeah. And then you have the vault, the innocent, naive vault dwellers, and of course the people that have had to claw and struggle and survive on the surface. They obviously become rather battle hardened and jaded, and they're not trusting of anyone. You can't really blame them because everyone's just trying to survive, and they'll do anything they can to survive. And it was interesting. I wonder, did they indicate how the surface dwellers were able to survive? Were they people that just kind of abandoned the vault after a while? And
they were some of the vaults open. Most a lot of the vaults are they're control vaults, which they're basically just there to serve their purpose, and they may have like a certain time that their vault door is going to open. And that some of the games have started with them, but then there's the vaults that had like all the craziness, all the experiments and stuff like that, and things like Vault 4 happened. So that, but it's like it was all set up as far as when exactly it was going to open, or if it was going to open at all.
Yeah.
On the vaults, and the people, the reason that there's people is like because certain areas didn't get as much of the radiation because there wasn't, the way they describe it, there wasn't like military targets necessarily in the area or a big capital area, so there was a lot more survivors, and they take some they take some movie liberty,
the creative liberties.
Yeah.
And then you have the the brotherhood, the soldiers and everything, and they're trying to collect the old tech. They're trying to get the old what do you call them? You just said it. The
pre-war technology.
Yeah, but like the tubes and all that kind of stuff. But I kind of, when I was watching the
All of the
last
vacuum
two
tubes.
episodes, I was I quite honestly, I didn't give it my full attention. I was probably a little bit more tired, or maybe a little bit more uh, intoxicated. Either one of the two, take your pick. But I was trying to figure out, like, because you had that one lead kind of old man brotherhood guy, and he was essentially going to say, like, okay, well, we'll find the stuff, we'll find the tech for the cold fusion, or is it fusion or fission, and then we'll go ahead and start our own, our own sect, our own society.
It's the one that doesn't go boom boom. I don't know if that's fission or
Yeah,
fusion.
I'm trying to remember. I think it's cold fission.
Yeah, it's the one that
Fusion
we
would just
figure
make it
out.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's the one, if we figure it out, like we're gonna be space travel soon. You know what I mean?
They probably already have it on a shelf somewhere, and they're just yeah, humans are too stupid to have this right now. Fusion.
There's also like, how many nukes did they drop? It just showed the one nuke drop, and how wide is that nuclear fallout? If it's just dropped one nuke, then like, what about the other countries that are out there? You know?
Well, in the game, like from all the computer, like, because like those computers they use, they're all over the place, and you can go in and like you can just, that's where all the lore's kept. And it's on the little data tapes. I forget what they're called, holotapes. I can't remember. But it depends on the area. Like Los Angeles and New York got wiped out. That's the reason, like they show in the show that there was like multiple hits.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then like
I think it showed in the beginning. Weren't there at least four bombs that they dropped? Because remember when he was looking at the cloud, and then he's trying to get his daughter and ride out of there.
Right. And then there was more falling. But you got to remember, too, the bombs aren't as potent as the ones we have today because of the technology wasn't as advanced as ours. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, I get that. That makes sense.
Yeah. So, like, it was still nuclear, but they were more closer to the Hiroshima bomb than what we have.
Okay.
And so, and like they still, I mean, they had, in the games, they still had like ballistic missiles, and they still had, but the rockets were gigantic, and
that's what she said.
Yeah, and they have, there's a submarine with like, surface to air missiles, the submersible ones. So they have similar stuff. It's just not as, not as advanced as ours.
Okay. Good to know.
So
what did you guys? Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Jay.
Well, I mean, I was going to say, so there was a lot more easier for pockets. Like in the 4 Boston, there was only one bomb dropped close to it. And like I think New Vegas, there's hardly any bombs dropped close to it, and that they're probably going to get into that next season. So because there's a lore behind that because of the guy. Well, we'll talk more when we get to it. So.
I was just going to touch on, well, I'm not going to touch him, but talking about Maximus, Aaron Moten's performance as the character. What did you guys think of him? I didn't really like him initially, but he kind of grew on me. I just wanted to hear what you guys thought of him.
Go ahead, man. I'll follow you.
I mean, when he was first introduced, I was like, okay, this is a guy who's just trying to go through boot camp. It just looked like a boot camp, so it was like my first thought. It was like, oh, this is some sort of boot camp. And he's just trying to get through it. And it seems like he's being picked on a lot, and that part kind of was like, oh man, I feel kind of bad for this guy. But like, yeah, at the beginning, I didn't really have like much of an impression on him when I was like first meeting him, but like later on through the series, he did grow on me. Like I started to care about him a lot more, with like episodes 2 and 3, and then so forth. So yeah, I like him at the beginning, but I think I love him at the end. So
Yeah,
that's
I
cool.
think he kind of improved over time. I was like, oh God, they're doing the got to make the black guy this meek and kind of stupid, that kind of trope that they like to do, almost emasculate the black guy. I mean, they emasculate, it seems like, men in general in a lot of modern entertainment, but they like to really emasculate, make him Gordon Goodbrother, the black men for some reason. And then that his friend, which was that actor trans? I was
Yes, that's a trans male.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I wasn't sure,
Yeah.
but and that was another thing where I was like, first episode, I'm like, oh, here we go.
But they're not even
But-
like part of it that much.
Yeah,
They're just
and
kind of like
they were
Oh,
there. They didn't harp on that, but it was the character seemed kind of pointless in a way,
Well-
especially when you find out what they did. It's just like,
Yeah,
why?
they turn it like it like well, to talk about Maximus is like Maximus was what you were talking about. Like, okay, here's the trope.
Yeah.
But then toward toward the as the episodes go along, it's like he starts and he seems like he's failing upwards.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. One thing I noticed he started realizing what's happening with him. Does it seem like he's starting to like, okay, all right, like it's like one of those things like in the game, one of the special attributes is luck. So he seems like he's a character that was created that his luck was maxed out in the beginning.
That's an interesting take on it. Like, I don't know if the creators had that type of insight to do something like that, but if they did, that would be a really interesting kind of way of incorporating video game elements into the show.
And I'll elaborate on that a little bit on Lucy, because Lucy was it's like her chief primary attribute is her intelligence.
Yeah. Yeah, I like how it kind of made sense for her character to, be, it made sense how she was able to survive, because if she was just completely like this naive, mousy girl and had not grown up being, trained on how to use weapons and I guess like kind of combat and whatnot. I mean, she would have been raped and murdered in like within 2 seconds,
Yeah.
of being on the surface. And I liked that it wasn't like a whole Mary Sue kind of thing.
Yeah,
because
it seems like they're setting that up.
Yeah, it did seem like that a lot. You're
Yeah.
like, oh my God. But yeah, she definitely gets the living bejesus kicked out of her several times, which I appreciated.
Yeah.
You want to see the hero or heroine, you want to see her kind of struggle and have to overcome things. And then you also see her not only kind of go through that hero's journey, but then, as reality starts to set in and she sees the kind of world that the surface is, you see that kind of affect her, and she loses that innocence that she used to have. So
I really liked when people, like the people that you would meet on the surface world, be like, you're not going to last out here. And
Yeah.
I'm just like thinking I think she's got what it takes to adapt. She's going to adapt to the hardness of the world. Like, she doesn't seem like the type to just let her die. She's
Yeah.
not going to let herself get injured or die. She's going to do what she has to do in order to survive. And like, I just find it funny that people would just like doubt her because of her looks, because she's just so clean, you know?
I think the actress Ella Purnell did really well. What else has she been in? I know
she was in Kick-Ass. She played the little assassin girl, Hit Girl.
Oh, that was her? Oh,
I
nice.
think so.
No, that's
Cool.
That's not that. Is that can't be her, really?
I think that's her.
Let me double check here.
What to elaborate,
bring it up.
like, because like like I said, Maximus, he was like he's got like high luck. She's got like high intelligence, and then
She
like
played
Maximus.
Dolce.
Say what?
She played Dolce in Kick-Ass 2.
Oh, okay. I thought she was Hit Girl. Oh, okay.
Ah, I have not seen Kick-Ass 2 yet.
I have no idea who
It wasn't anywhere as good as the first one. sequels kind of suffer like that. But let's see. So she's done a lot of TV and whatnot. Where's the movies?
Well, what you're seeing with the two characters that we're talking about is like you're seeing them. They have their set stats in the beginning,
Mm-hmm.
and you see them start to grow in other areas, and they're actually improving. So it seems like with every mission and because like if you look at the show, it's almost like a fetch quest. I mean,
Yeah,
they
it
built
very
this up
much
like
is.
they built this up like a video game. So they are getting more and more XP, more and more experience, and they're actually adapting. Because once you get, well, you want to start talking about the ghoul because he's the same way.
Yeah, in 1 second. I just wanted to read this because this basically, if the fat gay black guy left the vault instead of Lucy, the show would have ended after the first episode. It would have ended like as soon as he set the first step onto the surface. That guy was just so annoying. I'm like, how would somebody like that ever get into a position of power?
Well,
I
I
mean,
don't think he is. Well, see, that's the thing. There's so much in these 8 episodes of
yeah.
because they build up to like, okay, why is he in power? Why is that woman in power? It's just there's just so much. But we'll get to that in a minute. Everything is set up later, and you see why this guy's a pussy. This guy is, this guy. Why is this woman showing leadership qualities? And it explains it all later on.
Yeah, that's true. When you see the council members at first, all except Lucy's dad, you're like, how do these people? They're so meek. There's no way these other 3 would rise to a position of power. And then you find out,
Mm-hmm.
how it's like chess pieces being placed on a chessboard. But yeah, these guys were just, and then when they have the election later on, and the one guy, I was like, that guy's so stupid. He probably won't even vote for himself. And it was true. He's running and he didn't even vote for himself.
Oh yeah, well, he's like, who am I kidding?
This is just like such hippie, like,
Weakness, just
yeah.
soy, like all the men were soy.
Yeah, I just wanted to
Yeah.
backhand him.
And then
He
all the
was making
girls
lactate, like just
Yeah.
from all this soy. I was just like, yeah, sorry.
Well, but that's the thing is like because you learn on later on is like everyone who was mentally tough and who was the leadership or like showed it that weren't soy, they were from the Vault 31. They were actually transferred over. Meanwhile, everyone who grew up or was born in that vault is a flame. It's just
it's hard,
completely soy and weak.
Exactly. Oh goodness.
Like they're being controlled by the leadership, the communist leadership. Like they're the plebs, they're the peons.
Yeah, that's why they were like, Lucy, don't leave the vault. You're not supposed to. We're not supposed to leave the vault. So they just like wouldn't want her to leave, but she was like the strongest one out of all of them.
All right. So now it's tied because I really liked the ghoul, but I really like Lucy, but the ghoul, it's like they're definitely my 2 favorite. Every time it would focus on their path, their journey, I was just like, yes, because it was really exciting. What did you guys think about how they explained his whole arc?
Well, I'll take this. He's like they're going to. I think, to be honest with you, he's the main character.
Yeah, it really feels like that.
Yeah,
and
by the end,
he is the center of this whole universe, and like Lucy's going with him. I think like the way they're going to go forward is everything's going to be tied to him. With all this future stories, and it's like on how like the Brotherhood of Steel, and Lucy and the Ghoul, and how they converge with the family, and and I don't know if it's going to end in Vegas and stuff, but it all seems to be they're all heading to the same direction, like a game. Like if we're playing a online game and we're doing our own quests and all that stuff, and we're all converging to the end, on the main storyline.
Yeah, I like how they showed, a little bit. It was kind of, I guess, after he had broken up with his wife, and he's doing the birthday parties in the very first episode, and the guys and the family are kind of making fun of him, like, oh, look how far he's fallen. Now he's doing birthday gigs and everything. But you still see him being a loving father and trying to do right by his daughter and everything. And I like how they don't tell you everything that happened at once. Like, you just get fed these little pieces over the course of the series. And I really liked his character. You know, he just really, really believed in America and what he was doing and loved his wife. And then when he found out what she was involved in with Vault-Tec, it's really tragic. I really, really felt for the guy. And when he's introduced as the ghoul in the, towards the end of the first episode, and you just see how he's just been preserved, but just decayed and everything, but still preserved. It's very, very freakish. But
well, you
I
learn
like
that you learn. Oh, go ahead, Matt. Sorry.
I like the complexity of his character because
Yeah.
like he's like such at the beginning, like he's like being ridiculed for being a loving father, and then like at the end it's like, who is this guy? And then we learn more and more about him, and then it makes me think, oh man, like I wonder how much he just wants to go back to that
The ranch.
birthday party. Just
Oh, yeah.
like it's better than this. Like,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
have a happy, loving family and not have to like show his dominance because he's lost everything that he
Mhm.
loves. So he's like, well, might as well just like make everyone fear me.
Yeah.
So like he feels like he's coming from like he's just like hurting, like, and like he's like, damn it, I've lost my family. There's nothing pretty much to live for except for like maintaining my survival.
Mhm.
Like that's
Yeah,
what I
it's
got
not
off-
even not about living a life anymore. It's just about, surviving at
Yeah.
that point. But he has a very similar journey to Lucy, because he started out as that same kind of idealistic,
He
American
lost his
guy.
he lost his
And-
innocence like 200 years ago
Yeah,
before they did.
exactly. And so he's kind of like what Lucy could be, in series or season 2 or 3 down the road, So I think that's kind of interesting. People always like to say, well, I would never do that. I'd never do that. I'd never do those kinds of things. But it's one of those things, unless you're faced with it and put in those circumstances, you never know what you're capable of. Would you have the fortitude to do the right thing? Would you do whatever it takes to survive? So I like that kind of aspect of his character. Yeah, he did have a very strong performance. Like I said, every time he was on screen, it was very
You didn't want to stop
captivating.
watching. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like I just want to see his story.
Yep.
My
And he-
husband. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Jay.
Well, I was gonna say is like, well, his like, and he like he was the biggest star in the world during his
Yeah.
time, and he was like the John Wayne, the guy.
I was
and,
just gonna say that, like John Wayne.
yeah, and like when the bombs fell is when he lost his innocence, and when Lucy lost her innocence was when the raider attack. Well, when the NCR sent the raiders down
Yeah.
to kidnap her dad. So, and like I'm trying to like understand like when maybe Maximus, he lost his innocence right when Sandy Shores was destroyed. So, but that I think they're still telling a lot of the stories later and them changing. But like you're seeing the progression of the video games. Like if you look at these, like, okay, Lucy is the vault dweller. She's when you start the game from the vault. And then, the ghoul is like, it's similar to the protagonist in the New Vegas, where he's already there and he's already a badass and he's already been a survivor. He was a courier, but you see, you start the game and you progress down the path, from the quests, and the same with Maximus on the Brotherhood of Steel quest.
Yeah, I like his story. I would say is definitely the weakest of the 3.
Or just not as developed yet.
Yeah.
I think.
I like how he the impression of the knights was just so huge on him because that was the first thing he saw
Okay.
after.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. He lost his innocence when he let the knight die.
Well,
Like when he saw
it's kind
how
of
the
like
knight was doing.
he was jaded from the very
Yeah.
beginning, because he survived that, the fallout and everything, the explosion,
Yeah.
Indiana Jones style, let me say.
Well, that's canon in the game too, because
Yeah.
there's been a lot of references to that, and also I think there's a quest in 4 where a kid survived in the bombs in the fridge, and he turned into a ghoul within the fridge, and he was in
Yeah.
there for like 200 years.
Oh God.
Yeah, which
But-
kind of messes, but it kind of messes with the whole thing of like the ghouls going feral. So
Oh yeah, that was crazy. Let me see. We got a $5 super chat from Joe Frago. Thank you so much, Joe. He said, "Imagine John Malin in that universe." LOL. Oh my God. Yeah, he would be the big
ghoul.
chief, the wolf. He'd definitely be the ghoul for sure.
Yeah, well, I mean
Um,
that's the thing. It's like play styles.
Yeah.
Each character is like play style. If you want to go with the high tech and the more firepower, you go with the Brotherhood of Steel. If you want the more intelligence and more like building a community, you go with Lucy. You go with the Vault. And if you want to just be like a raider and just a cowboy or like a maverick or just like a gunslinger, you go as the Ghoul.
I always like playing the evil person in games because I get to.
That would be the Ghoul. So
I'm not like that in real life. Why would I want to just play myself in a game? I want to have fun. Lop heads off, backstab. That's right, bitches. Watch out for me in games.
yeah, I always created a female character.
And
Ooh, yeah. Well, they always say
catfish somebody. I see how it is. Jake.
No, not in the multiple. I don't play multiplayer games. I play single players.
So you can look at their ass,
Yeah, that's right. Because
but it has to be a third player game to look at their ass.
Mods are incredible.
That's right, Colin. I am a murder hobo, but in games. So. So yeah, Maximus has this idealistic view of the knights, and I think when he was in, being raised in the Brotherhood, and then when he's trying to come up through the, the ranks and become, I guess, a squire, but he's more like the private pile from, whatchamacallit. But yeah, he's just a big screw up. But then through those circumstances, cowardice, I guess, because he was afraid what was going to happen if the knight that he was supposed to be attending to told the rest of the Brotherhood that he failed. He didn't take care of me. So he's like, oh my God, they're gonna kill me if they find out. So he just lets the stupid knight die. I thought that was just ridiculous. Like, the guy's dying. He needs Maximus's help, and so he's just gonna piss him off.
Yeah,
but there's a reason he did it, though. That's the thing.
What was the reason?
Well, the reason he was it's like that was the moment he lost his innocence. That the knight was a coward, and it showed.
Well, I'm talking about the knight acting like that was just ridiculous. I mean, you're dying. Yeah. You want to sweet talk somebody, if you want to live. Yeah. You don't call them like just a screw up and a retard. Right. If you want to, yeah, everything's cool. Just give me the medicine so I can live. But no, he was just going all in.
I think what it was like, because they kind of refer to it later, the Elder. I think that's the Elder. It's just the Brotherhood of Steel. That he makes reference that we've fallen so far from where we were. And I think that's what they were showing with the attitude of the knight sitting there insulting him, and treating him like trash. Here, watch this.
Yeah, Maximus, his very first interaction with the knight is like, the knight's like, here's my cod piece, go wash it. We're just like, what the hell? So yeah, he had this kind of idealized view of the knights, kind of what you would think of actual knights, honor, bravery. And then when he goes out there with the knight, was it Titus that he's assigned? He he's the exact opposite. He's a coward. He's an asshole. So he's disillusioned by that. But then he gets this suit, but he hasn't earned it. He just kind of goes around in the suit trying to be a badass, but he hasn't earned, I guess, the honor of being a knight. And I like at one point how he is telling Lucy, like I can't go on without the suit. When he was trying to decide whether or not to keep the reactor that they're going to need to keep their entire little
The
vault
fusion
community alive.
core.
The fusion core.
Yeah.
And Lucy has to pretty much convince him, it's not the suit. If you don't have the values yourself, you're not really a knight. You're not that knight that you once idolized. So
yeah, and you see, like, the funny thing is like, we were talking about all three of these characters. You see their interactions start toughening each of them, they're aiding each other in their journey, in their change or their character arcs, and that's the thing that Lucy did for Maximus.
Yeah, it kind of, and he does by the end of it start to find his courage.
Right.
Start his moral compass starts to kind of find the true north a little bit more.
It does seem like he is like headed toward a way to be more like to take over the Brotherhood, to be the leader. Like he is like he's failing upwards, but he realizes what's happening, and I think and he's like, what Lucy is like, she's teaching him wisdom, she's teaching him kind of values and and principles and honor and stuff that he like where he would be what he perceived the knights to be. He's heading in that direction of what that ideal version.
Yeah, that would be nice if he sets up the new order and, the knights really are the protectors and they have the honor and they do the right thing and set the example. The Brotherhood was properly demented. Yeah, by this point in this story, they definitely are demented. That's for sure.
What's interesting to me is when he gets assigned the squire after getting the suit, and then he treats the squire. First, he does the codpiece thing to the squire that he gets. I'm like, why shouldn't you just treat him how you would want to be treated if you were in this position that caused you to make sure that your knight that you were squire to died? Maybe you should treat him differently. But then he does.
Yeah.
He starts I think the codpiece thing is hazing, and then but then
for sure.
But then afterward, you treat the guy with some dignity and respect. He's helping you. He doesn't have to help you. You're in a large piece of armor.
Yeah, I like when they recover the head from that mutated fish creature, and they kind of have that high five moment,
Oh, that's the gulper.
Yeah, the gulper. Yeah. That was crazy when you see how that thing was created too. It's
it's kind of like this game. This if this part of the country's version of the gulper, which is from the. Yeah, they're changing up some things, but that's what it's not the same, but that's what they're calling it. It's like a salamander that will just go up and eat you whole.
Yeah, that was crazy. What do you guys think of the treatment of the ghoul towards Lucy when he first kind of encounters and captures her? I thought it was incredibly cruel, above and beyond what the surface dwellers you think would typically do. Most surface dwellers would be like, all right, do you have anything that I can use? I'm gonna
steal, kill you, move on.
Yeah. But he was kind of torturing her, a little water torture there for a while, trying to get the gulper to
it was
using her as bait.
I'm not torturing you, I'm using you as bait.
I think it was interesting because I feel like Howard saw something in her, and he didn't mention what he saw in her, some sort of leadership aspect, her stubbornness to keep on going in the planet surface, and her desire not to retreat caused him to soften up on her later on.
Well, the fact that she showed him mercy too, that was a big thing. Even after he had, tortured her and dragged her around everywhere, chopped her finger off, and all that kind of stuff.
And
It's
sold her
like,
to organ harvesters.
yeah, exactly. It's like, on the one hand, you're like, like they're being cruel, and then there's just like being that kind of cruel. But then you find out why he has something against her, especially when he hears her full name, her last name, and
Yeah.
then by the end you find out that connection. So it's like, on one hand he respects her, but then he also kind of has that animosity towards her for who her father is. So
Spoiler.
yeah.
Yeah.
You said, I'm getting a little feedback there. He basically raped a chick. What? Oh, the High Plains Drifter. So yeah. By the end of the show, he's kind of, he has, I guess, reached some more respect for her. He sees that interaction that she has with her dad when she discovers who her dad really is and what her dad is capable of. I can't even imagine, finding out that one of my parents was like that, What were your guys like thoughts on the reveal of who Lucy's father really was?
I mean, part of me was surprised, but also part of me was like not really surprised because of how much if I felt like Lucy in the vaults got like privileges, like even like social privileges, even like without knowing her dad. It's just like the way that people talked to her, like they were like
her
that
best
like
friend.
they really, yeah, they like really respect her dad, and so they like want to talk to her like best friends, so like they don't get on her bad side and like upset the dad.
Yeah.
So when I learned about the dad's like true involvement with all this stuff, I was like, it makes sense. Like, how do you run a vault and also be like an overseer of like a vault without like some shady things? You'd have to know like some dirty little secrets if you're like overseeing like a vault,
Yeah. Especially
yeah,
if you have limited resources too. And it's like,
yeah.
okay, at some point we might have to make a nasty decision here. We only have so much food and water to sustain us, and we have more people than resources. So, okay, let's draw straws here or something like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, they Chris Owry, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, I'm sorry, was stating that they were more upset by Lucy's mom. That revelation was just like, oh, snap. That was horrible. I felt so bad for that. And I guess they were kind of, I kind of felt like they were intimating that the other chick, what was her name, and Lucy's mom kind of had a relationship. I don't know if it was supposed to be more than respect and friendship, or if they were trying to hint that it was a lesbian type of relationship.
Well, that they definitely could do that. I mean, I'm not going to say, oh, no. They definitely could go in that direction, but I think it's done as far as those two. Maybe they'll bring it up in next season. But what I gathered from that, it was more because if you remember, this is something they're going to have to clear up, because that character, I forgot her name.
Lee Moldaver.
Yeah. She was in the pre-war. How? Because she's not a ghoul. Because she died from the gun. That's the thing in this universe. Radiation heals ghouls. So if they're in a high radiation area, they get healed. And that's
maybe. Remember Maximus's the squire that he was assigned. Maybe it's how he gets.
But
he takes that medicine and he's essentially ghoul. But
she would have had to been a ghoul alone. So she would have to be a ghoul just as long as the ghoul as Cooper. So she would show she would lose her cartilage and stuff like that, and like the the ears and the nose.
Yeah, I was going to ask that too. So do their bodies continue to decay, but they stay alive, or is
Well,
it
it's not really decay. It's almost like it's kind of like from the old propaganda movies back in the 50s, with like the radiation zombies, but they were really like it's just really severe radiation burns people.
So Chris Alry here was saying Moldaver got cryogenically frozen too, maybe. So that's a good theory.
That's something they're gonna have to address later.
Mm-hmm.
And that's and whether or not they were in a relationship, I don't know. But it seemed like because she was trying to get Cooper along, she was trying to infiltrate the vault, and so when she came across, she became friends with her because she was trying to get she was trying to get access to somebody's code to unlock the cold thing, because I think she was in talks with the guy from the Enclave.
Yeah.
The guy that put the stuff in his neck. So this whole plan and everything was set in motion well before the mom escaped the vault, and that was just her opportunity, and she befriended her just so she could have access to someone from Vault-Tec.
Yeah, I that was interesting too. I like how they had that little segue, and they were showing the scientist taking that technology, and at the time you're not really sure what it is, and inject it into himself, and then he has the dog, which I really am rooting for, by the way. I love the dog. When the ghoul ends up shooting him at that one point, I'm like, no.
And then the dog wasn't dead.
Yeah,
I was like, "Oh my goodness, thank God!"
Yeah,
I knew the dog wasn't gonna die. Like I watched him, like it kind of like where they killed him, but I'm like, it's not gonna die because dog meat never dies. He can't be killed.
I can't take it. I mean, I could handle the slaughter of so many people on TV and movies, but if they kill a dog, I'm just like, no. Oh God, horrible. Let's see.
But the Enclave, which was where that doctor was, what a lot of people don't understand is like the Enclave was like a combination of corporations and government. Wow, isn't that fun? Isn't that like kind of weird?
Yeah.
Right?
Oh yeah. Haven't seen that before.
Yeah. And so and that's the thing is like, because that's the reason Vault-Tec knew about the cold fusion and all that stuff, and you see it in that. Basically, the Enclave was the government, and maybe that that guy, the boss person behind in that whole meeting with all the companies and all the big corporations and the government. When they finally revealed that Vault-Tec was going to drop the bomb.
Yeah,
and that
was a crazy part in the show too. When you have Cooper that's listening in on his wife, and he's like, okay, good. He's thinking that everything is he's like, everything might be okay, and then all of a sudden she pretty much states that she's for wiping out the population on the surface, and it's like,
just to get rid of her enemies.
Yeah.
No. It's because the war, they could monetize the war. That was the whole.
Yeah, she wanted to make sure.
How do you monetize? How do you monetize people who aren't? Who's paying the money? Like, what are you going to use the money after the entire world is like wiped off? What are you going to use the money on?
Well, see, they knew the war was going to be inevitable, but the thing is like, because they talked about like, oh, well, what if the peace talks works, and stuff. Well, we will make sure it doesn't work.
But it seems like they'd want to keep the threat always
and the fear,
present, and not actually go through with it. Because it's like the people that say invest in gold, because if there's an apocalypse, you'll have something to trade. It's like, well, damn it, if I'm hungry, a gold bar is not going to do me any good. I'm going to need like booze. I'm going to need food. I'm going to need cigarettes. I'm going to need, stuff that you can actually trade. Gold is just like, kind of worthless at that point.
Well, I think they kind of brought it up in that meeting about that. It's like, well, eventually people are not going to be afraid of war anymore, because eventually people will get comfortable again. And it's like, okay, well, we're going to have to do something about that. And like, then it just sets up the stuff. So, according to now, because this is the official canon, the very first bomb, don't know exactly which one, but the very first bomb dropped was Vault-Tec, and all the other bombs was China and U.S. and Russia.
Just kind of like
retaliation.
responding in retaliation.
Because remember, like the response networks were slower. It's slower back then because the technology is just not like what it is today. And in their universe, that I think they said 2 hours. The Great War took 2 hours because because it takes time because they're still using like the old communications, and satellites were kind of new at the time too, so it wasn't as elaborate.
Yeah,
That makes sense.
It was just nuts. It's like how can a mother be that ruthless? That's like some just like almost Hitler-esque kind of stuff there. You have this vision of this wonderful future and everything, but you're just gonna to kill and destroy so many and wipe out the surface of the planet.
I
Just
think
to see
nukes
this
are
vision.
a bad thing, actually.
Yeah, nukes are pretty damn horrible.
They're no good. Actually.
Yeah.
Thumbs down to nukes.
Then you get like the people that are in power today that talk about that in order for the world to thrive, 90% of the population need to be wiped out. And it's like
now you're seeing where some other thought processes are entering the mix, and like because like a lot of people think that a lot of the people on the left seem to think that, oh well, this is really an anti-capitalist movie or show or game, and I'm like, no, it's not. It's really because if you notice, like all these corporations and stuff, they're not acting very capitalistic.
Yeah, true. It's all about the ideals and everything.
Where they just remain in control. It's a lot like what we have today. Is like where capitalism and communism is like, okay, well, this is just what they want to use right now to control us, and
which is kind of funny that the show would parallel that because I mean, Amazon Prime, they're just another big corporation. Right. So I'm surprised that they would.
And they could be trying to write it. They could be trying to write it in that aspect to say like, oh, capitalism's bad and blah, 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 blah.
Mm-hmm.
And, oh, this is what's going to end up happening. But the problem is it's turning into a satire of what we live in today.
Yeah. That's crazy. Yeah. What Chris was talking about, the soundtrack was fitting. I loved the soundtrack. Mm-hmm. I think that was probably just the perfect soundtrack for that series.
Yeah, it really fit. Like the soundtrack really fit the mood. Whatever was playing at the time really fit the mood of the scene.
Yeah, right. And it kind of avoided too of being well, at least in my opinion. You guys might think differently, but for me, it avoided the cliche of. So many times you'll see violence. Silence. Well, I was gonna say like violence on screen, and then they'll play like something like A Wonderful World or something like that. Like they're trying to play like a beautiful song, but then like just this graphic, horrible stuff is happening on screen. And even though they had many battles where they would play a song or something, it somehow to me didn't seem as cliche as some of that, the other stuff in the past, because I remember it was a novel thing to kind of show a war or just horrible scenes and play, What a Wonderful World or whatever at one point. But I mean, after about the 50th time of that being done in a movie, you're just like, all right, I get it, kind of contrasting the innocence or beauty of a song with just the horrors of war and massacre kind of thing.
Speaking of violence, what did you two think about all the violence?
I'm actually the type of chick that it it doesn't bother me if it's done like really creatively. I think it was fun. Like I loved how they showed the shots almost like in the game where they would do the bullet type thing, and you could just see the bullet kind of going and
The
tearing
vats.
a hole in
That's the
somebody.
vats. Like when you press the button, it goes
Yeah,
and it like slows down. Yeah, it's exactly what that was like. I was watching, like, hey, he's got vats, but he doesn't have a Pit Boy.
yeah. There was a few moments where I would go like, ooh, like it still kind
Yeah.
of makes me cringe a little bit. Like, ooh, I
The
can kind of
homage
feel
to
that.
Yeah.
But there, it's like a difference that there's violence that's done in an artistic and fun way, and then there's something like Eli Roth's Hostel or something like that, where it's just like, let's
Too
saw
much.
this leg off and let's zoom in and do it in slow motion as we're sawing a leg off,
I liked how at the beginning there's like not a ton of blood and violence, but as the season progressed, there was like it was more comfortable showing more gory things happening on screen.
Mhm.
I liked how it like progressed through the season. It kind of like I'm not like a huge gory person. I will accept it if it's like part of the story, and
Mhm.
but like yeah, stuff like what you just said. Like I'm not a huge fan of the Saw of Saw. I haven't seen the other Saws because of
Yeah,
how
where it's like
unneedlessly gory.
almost pornographic in a way, like
yeah, it's
The very
gore
violence
porn.
porn.
Saska sisters style.
No,
Vibe.
Jesus.
Yeah,
Yeah. No thanks.
yeah,
I don't need piss porn, thank you.
Yeah,
yeah. So
if you guys probably you didn't notice, you may have not noticed because y'all haven't played a whole lot in the games, but the violence matched the universe, the game or the universe that the game set up. So
Yeah, I
like
do
when,
remember that. Like you could select your attack, your weapon and stuff. So
yeah,
it would kind of almost like Mass Effect in a way. You could pause it
right,
for a moment, pick your attack, and
yeah,
select your ammunition, and then it would kind of go at it, and you'd see somebody's head just
and like when he shot the scientist's leg, which it goes to the ghoul, his perception is really high because he's always on target, and he shot the leg and a guy his leg and he's still living, and they do all that medical procedure. That's almost directly taken from the game.
Yeah, I love how their meds work too. It's like you
Oh yeah,
inject
the stem
it, it's
packs.
like, oh yeah, there
But
we
see,
go. I'm all better.
it's completely the video game universe. There's no
Yeah.
like there's no like, oh, this is a movie that's kind of set in the universe. No, you're actually watching. It's like you're watching someone play the game.
Yeah. That let me get this super chat real quick first, then I'll go on with my comment. Thank you so much. Another $5 from Joe Frago. You guys have made no mention of how great the Fallout soundtracks are. Shame.
Well,
The
we were talking about
game,
it.
yeah, in the show, it was definitely top notch. In the
Mhm.
game, I'm gonna have to refer to you, Jay, or defer to you because I only played a couple hours of Fallout 4, so I haven't had the pleasure of hearing, the game soundtracks.
The a lot of the music. Okay, like some of the Johnny Cash stuff, not really in the games, but like when you see them kind of like talking or like they're in the city and it's playing some kind of like Ella Fitzgerald
Yeah.
or Nat King Cole or like toward the beginning of the episode or the end, those are directly from the game. So like and I think one reference to also it's like when you would expect the music in the game to be like when you turn on the Pit Boy radio, so you
Hmm.
listen to the radio, it fit inside the scene. And then like when danger approached, the music changes just like in the game. And when it's kind of like when they're showing some music from a distance and stuff, that's when they introduced like the Johnny Cash, and it kind of just
Yeah.
kind of set in the mood even more. And the one thing about the music is like when he goes to the radio station and you're listening to the violin, like
Yeah.
that's kind of not that's kind of just a nod to Fallout 4, to the Freedom Radio, which is
Hmm.
like the main quest line. That's like the Minutemen. That's how
Yeah.
they talk to each other. They set you set up the radio and that plays music, and then you call in like artillery strikes and stuff like that. So yeah, that was a complete reference to that. They
Well, you've
everything they
kind of
have is old.
inspired me to go
Mhm.
back and give it a second chance. I know I have the PlayStation Plus service or whatever, so I'll have to download I guess the revamped, repolished version of it and go back and play. So yeah, curse you, Jay, curse you.
I want to go play, but I got so many
Yeah.
daggone mods on my Xbox, and I can't get rid of them. And so, like,
Oh yeah, that's right. The new versions, I think, get rid
I
of that, don't they?
yeah, well, see, I don't know if I want to pay again for a game I already own. And like I can't finish the game because I've had so many mods on it that I'm like, because like you said, I play as a woman and I like looking at a woman when I'm playing. So like so yeah, it's like one of those
The
things. I want to go back and play.
booty.
I've got 3. It's just when you play these games, you're going to play for like 10 hours and not
Yeah,
realize.
more than that, I would imagine. The last game I really invested time in was Tears of the Kingdom.
Hmm.
And I really invested too much time into that. But
Well, see, now that you've watched the show, though, Abra, and then you'll probably, if you go back and play it, you'll notice too.
I would probably appreciate it.
You'll want to discover, and like, oh, they're talking about this from the show, and you'll read the entire daggum
Yeah.
computer for like 10, 15 minutes, and you're only like 10 minutes in the game, but you spent 10 minutes of that reading the backstory of this lore.
Yeah, it definitely seems like they put a lot of love and
Mhm.
thought into it. I wish Bethesda was still like that today. But
Well,
alas, all of the gaming companies are kind of suffering right now. It's like the
Well,
game apocalypse.
they were bought out by Microsoft, and yeah, 76 was kind of, but
Oh,
it's like one of those things where it's like, multiplayer and all this stuff. But they started adding the lore, they started adding people, they started adding that stuff because people complained.
yeah.
And I
I
gotta give
remember all the hubbub surrounding that. It
yeah,
was just a big nightmare for them.
but I have to give them
Um,
credit for fixing it.
well, let's get back on track to the show.
Mhm.
What did you guys think about the ending? How it left off, and what are your hopes that they'll, I guess, delve into in season 2?
Oh, go ahead, man. I gotta take this call.
Um. I'm excited to see what Maximus does with his newfound position. I'm excited to see what he does with the Knights of the as a knight, like what he does with the Brotherhood.
Yeah,
I'm excited to see how Lucy uh grows as a character. Like she's already grown so much from like the being super naive at the beginning to like she she's like she can cut people's heads off now. She can put
yeah.
that in her resume. Uh
She's seen some shit, as they say.
yeah. Yeah. And so I'm excited to see how she handles more wasteland problems like, and I also want to see her and Lucy's and Maximus's relationship blossom because
Mhm,
I liked how hesitant Maximus was in accepting the partnership between with Lucy, accepting the partnership between them two.
mhm.
And like I think Lucy's a good influence on him, and I just want to see more of that, and I want to see them fight too. Like
Yeah.
I want to see them disagree on something and how they handle it. I'm honestly thinking like what is the ultimate like goal for the end of the show? Like what's
I
the
was
big
wondering that
thing?
too, because you do have the ghoul and Lucy kind of going off in their way. Maximus having to go back with the Brotherhood. I'm just really curious what the end goal is. Like, are they going to try to liberate the vaults and bring all these naive little people up to the surface and try to are they going to use the technology from the head, the cold fusion technology, to try to make society anew and kind of make everything better for people? It will be interesting to see. But all I know is that I want to see a lot more of the Ghoul and Lucy, and I'm wondering if they're going to show what happened to the daughter. Like, is she going to make an appearance?
Is she going to be a ghoul?
Is she going to be a ghoul? Is she going to be someone, in power? Somehow will she have been kept alive, and will she kind of be like her mom? It'll be interesting to see which way they go with that. And as you mentioned, men, I would like to see a little bit of a conflict between Maximus and Lucy, like where they have opposing goals.
Yeah, exactly.
So. What about you, Jay? What were your thoughts on the ending of the series, and what would you like them to touch on with series 2?
First and foremost, Amazon, you're stupid for releasing us all at once.
Yeah, I agree.
We are sitting here trying
smart.
to cover 8 episodes, and there's so much to talk about in one show. Like if they released this every week, we could have done like every episode weekly.
Right.
And,
well, Mint did her reviews the smart way. You spread it out. But yeah, I made the mistake of, for the most part, I didn't binge it in one sitting, but I did binge it over a few days. And I think probably, like you're saying, Jay, each episode probably needed time to kind of breathe a little bit.
Yes.
So you can kind of take it in, feel the impact, absorb it, and maybe come up with theories for the next episode. But yeah,
I do have a counterpoint though.
Okay.
It's so all the people who are going to say, if all of Fallout wasn't released, all 8 episodes wasn't released immediately, then all the YouTubers could have been like, Fallout's woke for like all 8 episodes until like it finally dropped. I think it like killed the potential to make hate videos on Fallout. Like,
I could see that. Well, the first episode, it definitely, with all of the there are woke elements definitely all throughout it, but it's not preaching the woke medicine.
It's not preaching it. I completely get your point on that, Mint, and I kind of agree with you on that. It's just that it would have been also good for Amazon to own those people. Eventually, would have said, "Well, yeah, it has some woke stuff in it, but it's overall not woke."
I can say at the end of the day, when I was done watching the series, I'm excited for the next series.
Mm-hmm.
I enjoyed the journey that the story took us on. I really enjoyed the Ghoul and Lucy's story. Maximus was okay, but the Ghoul and Lucy,
he's getting there. He's getting there.
He really had a slow start. But I felt entertained, and I didn't feel guilty for being a white woman. So that was a bonus, that I didn't feel guilty because of who I was born as. So,
I feel like the show, like itself, like specifically when you have like the woke ideals within the vaults clashing with like the surface world ideals, like I feel like the show itself is like, it's like a comment on like, yeah, the woke ideas aren't going to stick to like when we have like actual big problems on the world, and like people who are on the surface aren't like the people on the surface aren't adopting this woke mentality. It's just like a mentality adopted by people who only grew up in the vaults, so I do like showing that contrast. It's like people who have the woke agenda, the people who have like the woke agenda are in the vaults, sheltered from the harsh outside world.
And they think all the ones on the surface are Neanderthals.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
They're like the Trump supporters.
The heathens, yeah.
They all look like they smoke, and they all look like they drink. They all look like fat rednecks. Did you guys see that thing floating around on Twitter where some white liberal politician was talking about how Black people don't have, like, a Black kid from Brooklyn doesn't even know what a computer is, and somebody
did a side by side where I guess a black guy was kind of making fun, and he's acting like he's a primate on his floor, and he has a Apple laptop, and he's flipping it over like he doesn't know what the hell it is. And it's like it just made me think like all these people that think, oh, we're so progressive and we want to like embrace all these different cultures and everything, and a lot of them are just they're the racist and everything because they have these ideas that they think all of the different races are like this one type of thing.
Like Min said, that's very vault dweller of them.
Yeah, very vault dwellerish.
Yeah, I'm gonna steal that, Matt. That's a good thought.
You can steal it from me.
Don't be a vault dweller.
I'll just give you credit, man.
Okay,
well, I mean, like as far as like the direction it's going, because they ended with Lucy's father. He took the power armor without the helmet, and he's walking, and that's New Vegas that he's going towards. So I'm wondering. I want to see if that's where his wife is. Maybe there's some vault we don't know about or something, or maybe that's a few seasons down, or maybe she's at the Enclave. Don't know exactly, but that's something that they're going to have to answer because, the ghoul says, where's my family?
Yeah.
So, the daughter, she was with him when the bombs fell. So she got, she either died or she got a heavy dose of radiation and she's a ghoul.
Or maybe he was able to throw her into a vault somewhere before it closed up. Who knows?
And the thing too, because and the one thing that bothers me, and maybe Mint notices too, is that the mom knew when the bombs were going to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like
why would she leave her daughter out there? Yeah.
So either she was, this whole divorce thing with him and all that, she lost her power and all this stuff, and maybe he's chasing after his daughter and his ex-wife are dead, and he's just chasing after it. Maybe he finds out that later, or she's going to have to appear. So that's one thing I want to see. And and I'm liking the whole thing with chasing your father. I'm liking that whole aspect. I want to see what's going to happen with Maximus. I personally think that he is going to bring back the glory of the Brotherhood.
I hope so. That would be kind of nice to,
and I hope
maybe be like the laws, the guiding light of the new world.
Right.
I just wanted to touch on what James Wilson was saying here. He said this is a strange conversation. There is so much fallout they haven't even touched on yet. That's true, because as Jay was mentioning, each episode there's just so many layers to it and so much to kind of talk about and dissect there. So, I mean, it really is. If you guys at some point want to have a further discussion on some of the elements we didn't discuss, I would love to have you both on to get into that a little bit more. Yeah, the Pit Boy or Vault Boy. But yeah, there just is so much, and we've already been going on for 90 minutes. So,
oh wow,
we'll have to.
There's some good channels out there. I think was it Fudge Muppet or Camel Works? There's a few like 2-3 million subscribed channels that all they do is they just talk about Bethesda lore.
Yeah,
and not so much Starfield, because Starfield sucks ass. But they really go deep in the Elder Scrolls games and the Fallout games. So, I mean, and there's just be careful. It's almost like playing the games. You will watch another one, and you're like, I remember, I would fall asleep for 3 months straight just listening to Fallout lore.
Oh yeah. Well, I kind of do that playing catch up with all the Comicsgate stuff. Put my earbud in, and I'm listening, and then after a while,
it's almost like always my go-to when nobody's streaming.
Yeah, that's a good thing to listen to. And indeed, their lore, the writers of the games, have done a really meticulous job of just creating this deep story and world and lore and everything. But yeah, I just kind of wanted to touch on overall how you guys received the show. What did you think? Did you have an overall good impression of it? Because I walked away thinking, all right, I can't wait for season 2.
Yeah, same
And
here.
I'm really impressed with the production values, because a lot of these streaming service shows are hit and miss, and it feels like, I don't know what their budget is or was for season 1, but it felt like they really stretched their dollar. Like they made sure, because just how everything felt, you really felt immersed in that Fallout world. So definitely huge props for that.
They did, like, to talk about that. They did a really good job at like they didn't overuse CGI. Now but they did, some of the
Yeah, you
power.
kind of have to these days.
Yeah,
For sure.
but the whole thing with, like, some of those power armor suits were legit.
Yeah.
And, like, they were practical effects, and
wow.
and like the ghoul, he was practical, except for the nose. You can kind of tell in some places.
Yeah, I saw like a behind the scenes thing where they're
Yeah.
putting the makeup on, but I guess they had to have a little area to kind of
they green screen the nose. Yeah, and I think they're going to get better, and I look forward to some of the creatures. They did tease super mutants at the Enclave. You saw, like, they're wheeling a gurney and there's like a giant green hand. Those guys are basically humans that got turned into green monsters that are just like, they can, like, rip you in half with their hands.
Yeah. Oh.
And then yeah, they're basically like, they're like Shreks if Shrek was real. And he was just, he's really an ogre. And there's a tease at the end of the last episode with the skull. That's a Deathclaw skull, and those are basically, they're the badasses of the wasteland.
Nice.
They can camouflage. Some of them can camouflage themselves, but they're basically like the dragons of.
I want to see
universe.
Lucy fight one of those.
Oh my god! Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we saw the Yagway, the bear, and the bloat flies. I'm really looking forward to seeing the rad scorpions, because they're like as big as a car.
When those roach things were coming into the armor when Maximus was just frozen there, I was like, oh, that's like my worst nightmare. Like,
wait till the rad scorpions show up. I hope they don't go cheap with the CGI with them. I hope they keep them very much to the game. Well, they're basically like Emperor scorpions, the large ones.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Oh god. Imagine like that the stinger coming down and just
oh, somebody's got to get stung, like where they grab them and they just stick them right through the heart. Oh, that'd be awesome.
They have to do
I
it.
was
sure.
I was really impressed with the level of detail, but also usually video game properties have like a bad reputation, like besides just like the reputation of TV shows, just like video game properties in general have a bad reputation. And I was thinking, I'm not sure how this could be good, like without having, like, I didn't watch it.
Right.
Like without having watched it, that was like my first impression upon hearing the news that there was a Fallout show. I was like, how could this be good? And
well, I mean, they screwed up Halo, for goodness sake. And it's like, if they screw up Halo, how do you expect them to do Fallout justice? But I think they did pretty well.
Thumbs up.
Yeah. I liked this season a lot, and it's making me excited for season 2. I like all the character introduction and then growth of these characters. And by the end, I'm like, no, please don't get hurt, Lucy, or please don't get hurt, Maximus. You guys are like my guys, please.
Yeah. I really hope that that Amazon kind of keeps on the path. They don't decide to go DEI overload on everything. If they're going to include more of that stuff, I hope it's along the same lines as what they did with season 1.
Well, in the games, diversity is like it's all random. Like, but they kind of keep it to like there's no civil rights really. They kind of like just glossed over that. They kind of like all that ugliness.
Yeah.
They kind of just like it fixed. They just don't tell you how it was fixed. And that's the reason you see, you know, like the multiracial families, and you see, you know, black people and white people, you know, like we're in the 50s. No, it wouldn't have been nothing like that.
Yeah,
know,
for sure.
It would have been like, you can't use this. This is a white vault. You know?
Yeah, exactly. Oh, well. But yeah, I think we've been going for about an hour and 40 minutes. I wanted to thank you both. It was so nice to meet you and get to hang out with you finally. I've seen you in all the different streams and everything. So like I said, I'm a big fan of your reviews. I think you have a lot of energy and passion behind it when you review something. If people aren't already subbed to Ment's YouTube channel, please go ahead and do that. Is it under what's your channel?
YouTube.com/ASC Presents.
ASC Presents. So
yes.
yeah, definitely check that out.
And her Twitter is what's your Twitter?
Autistic Boobs.
Yeah, Autistic Boobs. Twitter.com/Autistic Boobs.
Yeah, so definitely give her a follow there too. Jay, you want to give your handle out there?
Yeah, just follow me. My Twitter is at JayBamaFan1, I think. Isn't that it? It's
I don't know. Don't you know?
No, I never have to tag myself. You know? Let me say real fast. I think it's JayBamaFan1.
Enrique says, "Good job, Jay. You didn't bring shame to the clan on this day." Well, thank you. Crisis averted there. I'm glad. And I really had fun chatting with you guys too. And like I said before, if you're both open for future discussion on the series, then I would love to have you both on. It's nice to get your different perspectives and insights and everything.
Go play the games. Go have
fun.
You've
definitely convinced me. You were the one that convinced me to watch the show in the first place. So thank you for that. I really appreciate that. I got
Cecil to watch it, but you know, things happen, and I don't know if he was able to finish it.
He's too busy getting laid and having Juju make wonderful food for him. So
well, that's only 3 minutes. I mean.
Oh.
Yeah, I said it.
I have nothing for that. I'm sorry. But yes, everyone in the chat, thank you for showing up. We had a good number of people in here. Really appreciate it. Definitely check out some of the streams going on later tonight. I don't know if there's going to be a trash cast or if there's one going on right now,
isn't it?
But yeah, I appreciate everyone hanging out. It was great. You guys are awesome. I always love the chat. Please hit that like button. If you're not subscribed, please consider subscribing. And with that, I think I will bid everyone adieu. And we will head out. Peace.
50 sets off of me. I've had enough. Get the hell out of my house. In Jesus' name, I pray.